Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too.
One of the problems with having a president like Donald Trump who is detached from reality, who is just someone who lies at a record-breaking clip, is the fact that his acolytes, his underlings, the subservient cult members to him, they also do this. They take up the mantle of being liars themselves and say things with just an eye for the ridiculous, knowing that MAGA doesn't care. And Scott Bessent is one of these characters. As much as the right hates George Soros, Scott Bessent used to work for George Soros, and because he is principle-free, he is a liar, he has no dignity, he has no honor, he has now conformed to the manner with which Republicans operate. As the Treasury Secretary, he is enforcing Donald Trump's tariff policies and lying about them every step of the way. I've got a couple of clips here from him. In this first one, he tries to sell to the American people because of the deleterious effects of Donald Trump's tariff policies, especially on farmers, especially on American farmers. You know, American farmers that are venerated by Republicans. Republicans treat the American farmer like they treat the military, as a prop. They act like, they signal, they talk like they love them and they respect them and they revere them, when in fact they do not care at all. And Donald Trump's tariff policy should lay bare that truth. In this interview with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, she's asking about all of the different things that are taking place relative to the number is zero of soybeans that are being purchased by China, which used to be an almost $13 billion industry for American farmers. Just China's purchasing of the soybeans of American farmers. And she's asking him about it, and he has the temerity, the absolute idiotic gall to say that he feels this pain too, because after all, this man who's worth nearly $600 million is also, I can't even say it, a soybean farmer.
I did mean the second term. I know they have met before. The president has also said he does want our farmers to be taken care of. You did mention that China has been boycotting American soybeans, and American farmers have really suffered. Do you see a real light at the end of the tunnel there? They may allow soybeans again?
Well, Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer, so I have felt this pain too. And there are a couple of things happening here. One, the Chinese have substantially dropped their purchases to almost zero, so they unfortunately have been using American farmers who are amongst President Trump's biggest supporters. I think he had more than 90% support. And then this was one of the biggest crops in 20 or 30 years, so it was a perfect storm. But I think we have addressed the farmers' concerns, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president, but I believe when the announcement of the deal with China is made public, that our soybean farmers will feel very good about what's going on both for this season and the coming seasons.
Martha, in case you don't know, I'm also feeling this pain because I'm also a soybean farmer. Apparently, he left his overalls in his other dressing room the day that he showed up to do this interview, because in no way, shape, or form is, in the traditional sense of the understanding of the word, Scott Bessent a soybean farmer. Scott Bessent is a wildly wealthy individual who just recently sold one of his many, many houses, more than a dozen, maybe nearly 24 houses. He sold one in Charleston, South Carolina, this giant pink castle monstrosity for like $20 or $25 million. This is his net worth. This is from The Independent. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent fails to divest his financial holdings and hit with watchdog warning. Bessent, a former hedge fund manager, The Independent must have gotten it wrong. They must also be unaware of his his deep roots in the soybean farming industry, that he's just a humble farmer, y'all. What do you mean he's a hedge fund manager? Bessent, a former hedge fund manager, reportedly has a net worth of around $600 million. Over $500 million he's worth. That's a lot of soybeans, Scott. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how many soybeans you've sold to amass that kind of a fortune. Now, let me talk a little bit about where we are with the soybean issue and the fact that directly because of Donald Trump's tariff policies, China has just full stop. They have ceased buying soybeans from American farmers. And the reason that they buy so many is because of when crops are harvested. There are different climates, obviously, all over the globe, and our crops are coming to be harvested right now. And none of them are being purchased by China. In fact, after the bailout, the $20,000 million bailout that the Trump administration saw fit to give Argentina, who elected a man who is just wrecking their economy, needs a bailout from us. China, instead of buying them from Americans, are going to Argentina to buy them from them. Look at this chart and this headline from the New York Times. China bought $12.6 billion in U.S. soybeans last year. Now, it's zero. Not $500 million worth, not $5 million worth. It went from $13 billion. Again, I know I like to drive this home just to kind of impress upon everybody how much money it is. $13,000 million worth of soybeans last year, and now zero. Zero. China stopped buying soybeans from America in May, placing a retaliatory tariff on the bumper crop after President Trump increased levies on goods from China. Look at that stark chart on the very front page, under the headline of this article from the New York Times. This is a graphic representation of the damage that Donald Trump is doing to our economy, and more importantly, if there's a Republican out there watching, doing damage to families in America, farmers in America, the same group, just like the troops, that Donald Trump acts like he cares about. He signals that he cares about, and largely a group of Americans who voted for Donald Trump. With all of his tariff talk during the campaign, they still saw fit to vote for Donald Trump. With all of his mass deportation talk during the campaign, they still voted for Donald Trump against their own financial best interest. Why? Some would say economic anxiety. That's not it. It's racism. People are animated by fear of other. They're animated by the lies told by Donald Trump, the racist, white supremacist lies told by Donald Trump. If there is economic anxiety, it doesn't really jive with what's going on. This is from the article. Each week, the Agriculture Department publishes a summary of the latest exports of American crops. Lately, they have all been missing the same thing: the sale of soybeans to China. Soybeans are the single largest American export to China in terms of value, $12.6 billion worth last year. But as the fall harvest, gets underway across the country, 9% of planted beans that have been harvested as of last week. The country that bought 52% of all American soybean exports last year is completely absent. September 1st was the beginning of the new marketing year for soybeans, the starting point for big sales. Instead, China hasn't bought any American soybeans since May. The cause is the retaliatory tariffs China has placed on the United States, making the price of American soybeans unattractive for buyers there. This is one more minor piece of evidence that should be waking Republicans up, and I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know when they are going to lose their affection for Donald Trump. The team politics, the game that politics has become, is so pervasive and dangerous that they will continue to vote against their best interests, against the interests of their families, of their grandchildren, of their children, that they're willing to sell them down the river to enrich Donald Trump, to give him one more chance, one more chance, one more chance. And as the saying goes, that past performance isn't indicative of future results, with Donald Trump, it absolutely is. We know what's going to come to pass. Every single, I can't think of one, but it seems to me that every single decision that Donald Trump makes is a bad one for Americans, and it's a good one for him. He will ethics violations, he's enriching his sons, doing deals with the Pentagon. They are raking in billions of dollars. He is increasing his net worth by orders of magnitude while president of the United States, while the MAGA cult claims he's serving for free. He's giving away his $400,000 salary every year. He made the same claim during his first term, and he did it one time that was verified. None of the other times he did. Anyway, I'd love to know what you think about this. There were some other clips that you should really go check out on Blue Sky or wherever you're on social media, because Scott Bessent really, he did a number this weekend on the Sunday shows. Speaking of that, you can follow me on social media. I am at Dollemore just about everywhere. I'm no longer active on the Nazi Twitter, but everywhere else, and I'd love to see you there. You can sound off in the comments, and we can have a conversation about this on Facebook or YouTube. And if you are not already, please like and follow the Facebook page Dollemore Daily. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube so we can get to 1.5 million subscribers by the end of the year. I know we only have a couple months left, but I know that we can do it with your help. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.